evening, friends, and welcome to the Dreary Midnight Podcast. My name is Lisa. My pronouns are she, they.
My name is Celeste. My pronouns is she, her.
And tonight it's Celeste-led. What are we talking about?
Tonight we are going to talk about 3 Mexican legends.
Ooh, let's get into it. Intro music.
Intro music. It's been a while since we recorded.
Been a while.
I had to be extra.
Yes, I missed it. Also, if you hear
there's
little tippy tapping about, Clementine is in the building.
Clementine is tippy tapping about on her tile floor, and also maybe drinking water.
Yeah,
might hear a bark or two.
Yeah, if she's barking, keep in mind she's keeping us safe from the farting gnats in Kentucky.
I will say, listen, since we first started recording,
she has gotten a lot better.
She's mellowed out.
Yeah. Except for my dropped headphones, apparently. All right. So 3 Mexican legends.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been getting really into my heritage lately. I don't know why. Something about not being in LA makes me feel more Mexican than when I was in LA. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not surrounded by a lot of
culture, exactly.
Culture, yeah.
And it's like there's still Hispanic, obviously, and Latin American folks here, but it's a little harder to find in Mexico specifically because that's a Western, West Coast thing. I just been kind of delving into my tribe, that like the Purepecha tribe, which was in southern Mexico, now in Michoacan. And
is that where your folks are from?
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the tribe that they were part of. Yeah. And anyway, so I've been just reading up on like Mexican folklore and stuff. And I found a few that I thought were fun. And this isn't necessarily like indigenous. This is literally just more modern.
Okay.
Legends.
Cool. Like urban legend.
Yeah.
Stuff. I love
exactly.
that. I love that. All right. So what do we got?
Okay. Legend number 1 is the transported soldier. Okay. So I have notes.
All right.
On October 24th, 1593, a soldier of the Spanish Empire was guarding the Palacio de Gobernador in Manila in the Cabinet General of the Philippines. Okay. I preemptively apologize for my Spanish pronunciation, although I am technically Mexican. I don't speak that much Spanish.
Okay.
But it's basically the palace of the governor.
Okay.
Now, the night before, on October 23rd, 1593, Governor Gomez Perez das Marinas was assassinated by Chinese pirates in the Molucca Islands.
Okay.
Now, however...
Hang on. It just registered to me. We're talking Mexican legends and you're talking about the Philippines.
Do you know why, though?
No. Well, I mean, Spanish colonization at a guess.
Exactly.
But, okay.
So, we're going to get into it.
Okay.
But yes, you're right. Technically, we're starting this Mexican legends in the Philippines. Okay. The guards, even though the governor was assassinated, were still guarding the palace, awaiting the appointment of a new governor. Now, the soldier in question began feeling dizzy. He leaned against the palace wall, closing his eyes to rest for just a moment. A few seconds later, he opened his eyes and found himself in Mexico City.
Oh, here it goes. Okay.
At the Plaza Mayor in the Viceroyalty of New Spain, thousands of kilometers across the ocean.
No kidding. Like literally across the Pacific. Also, any watery noises, the dishwasher's going.
On. Do you want me to turn it off?
It's fine.
Okay.
But for listeners who are wondering what the swishy noises, that's we are not haunted. It's just
we're dishwasher. Haunted by the concept of dirty dishes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never ending.
That and laundry gets me so much.
I have like a pile of laundry on
Same.
the dryer
Same.
that I just...
Same.
Anyway. So, he opens his eyes. Suddenly, he's in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Other guards found the soldier wearing a uniform unlike any regiment in the area and questioned who he was.
Naturally.
Apparently, one soldier who had served in the Philippines recognized the uniform as that of those stationed in Manila as the palace guard. So, the transported soldier explained who he was and where he had come from, and also added that the governor of the Philippines, Don Gomez Perez das Marinas, had been killed by Chinese pirates the evening before. Since this event had just happened and news would have had no way of reaching Mexico for months, no one believed the soldier.
Oh, yeah, literal months, because it's 1542 or
It's
47.
1593 or something like that.
It's the 1500s, so it takes like minimum
You got to do a ship.
2 months to cross the Atlantic.
Exactly.
Let alone the Pacific. Anyway.
Exactly. So the soldier was imprisoned for being a deserter and for being in league with the devil.
Okay. Oh,
And
because how could he?
Because how could he transport?
And how could he know?
And how could he know?
Okay.
So being in league with the devil, which was like a huge offense because remember Catholicism.
Oh, yep.
So he was imprisoned. Authorities kind of puzzled over what to do with the soldier because even though it seemed that he was in league with the devil, who was a servant of the devil, because he had knowledge or was spreading lies, and because he had somehow transported from the Philippines to Mexico, he seemed relatively innocent. He could say his prayers. He was like, here's all the sins that I've done. And he was very...
He was
like,
open about
open.
all of the... He was open and able and willing to do all of the ritual things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they just had him imprisoned instead of killing him.
Okay.
And then, eventually, months later, news of the governor's death at the hands of pirates in the Molucca Islands finally reached Acapulco, then went into Mexico City, and on a galleon from the Philippines. So, ship from the Philippines that was sent literally a day like after the assassination.
So this guy and the ship are leaving almost at the same time, within 12 hours of each other.
Except one of them was instant. And one of them took months.
Yeah.
So that ship finally reached Mexico and basically corroborated everything that the soldier had said as true. Moreover, one of the soldiers who had come on the ship recognized the transported soldier, saying that he had seen him only a day or two before the ship sailing on duty with the palace guard. So they left about the same time.
Yeah.
The authorities decided that he was innocent, but he was still used by the devil. So they released him from jail because he was innocent, but then they also put him on the first ship back to the Philippines so that they didn't have to deal with him anymore. And nobody knows what happened to him from then. Like, when he went back to the Philippines, he had to explain why he was gone.
Yeah.
For half a
the Palace
year.
Guard's head of staff think? Like, did he also get punished in the Philippines by the head of staff there?
I guess that's up to the Philippine record keeping to figure that out.
Yeah.
So
right.
That was the first one.
Okay.
It reminded me a lot of The Man from Torrid.
Yes.
Which we've done before.
We've covered, yeah.
Where it's just a person that is somehow somewhere that they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
Seemingly randomly transported by paranormal means.
Yeah. And showing up someplace entirely different.
Exactly.
Anyway.
What'd you think? Any thoughts?
That is super spooky. Also, would not want to be him.
Seriously.
Especially in the 1590s when we don't have the internet, so we can't look up like cultural differences and like how to mask, I guess.
I mean, he was also still a Spanish soldier.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he could speak the language and like knew exactly. It's just that they were like, that uniform isn't from around here.
Yeah.
That uniform is from across the world.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
that's wild though. All
Isn't
right.
it?
Yeah. All right.
So
What's number 2?
the second urban legend is the first urban legend I had never heard of because it was just like a fluke historic event thing. This one I had definitely heard of and is very popular. And that is the legend of La Pascualita.
All right.
So there is a wedding boutique located in Chihuahua,
Oh, I think I've heard this one.
which is the home to which has been the home to a mysterious mannequin for over 90 years.
All right.
Now, the store called La Popular was once owned by a woman called Pascaula Espars. Espars? I think that's how you pronounce that last name. So on March 25th, 1930, the mannequin that was later dubbed La Pascualita made her first appearance at the store's front window. Immediately, passerby noticed that this mannequin was extremely lifelike and bore a strong resemblance to the store's owner, Pascaula, but more specifically, bore a resemblance to Pascaula's daughter, who had passed away on her wedding day. I think it was a year previously. So, or a few months. Maybe it was a few. I think it's so. This is where it's like urban legend because this is
sometimes
where
it's a month. And
sometimes
it's
she
a
was
year.
bit by a black widow. Sometimes she was bit by like she had a scorpion tail.
Okay.
But
But she died no more than 13 months ago.
she died
And it
either
was some
on
kind of a
or
puncture
right
wound.
before her wedding day.
With some kind of puncture wound, likely from an animal. Okay.
Yes. So, rumors began that this mannequin wasn't a mannequin, but was actually the embalmed corpse of Pascaula's daughter, hence the name Pascaulita, which is like little Pascaula. Pascaula would not say like anything about the mannequin, or she would like deny it, but it just made people speculate more. And if you look at the mannequin, you will understand why people thought that. Can you come here so that I
Okay.
can show you? Because not only did she look extremely lifelike and did she bear a resemblance to Pascaula, but her hands are extremely lifelike, and you can even like see the veins.
Oh my God. Is that like a photo or is that like a painting of it?
This is a photo,
Oh, damn.
and you can see
Yeah. Like her nails look like my granddad.
she has like purplish
Yeah.
around her skin. There's multiple legends that come from. A lot of people say that when they're in the store, the presence of this mannequin kind of gives them an uneasy feeling. Some people have said that they feel like they're being watched or that the eyes are following them around as
That
they're
makes sense.
shopping
Yeah.
or as they're passing by. Some people have even claimed that they've seen her move.
Of her own volition?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a person who. So this was in the 1930s. So obviously, she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And only trusted employees are allowed to clean her, change her. And one of the employees said that she felt uneasy anytime she had to change her, and that she has like varicose veins in her legs, that she thinks that this is a real body.
So it's not like they did all of the details for like the lower arm and the collarbone or whatever, just because they were anticipating it being a mannequin or something.
But
so
like there's details everywhere apparently.
Yeah.
And then there's also legends that she comes to life at night.
Okay.
Apparently, it's common for late night taxi drivers to notice that she's taken life because the bride's intended was a taxi driver. Don't know if that's accurate. But
Still spooky.
still spooky.
Yeah.
In 2017, the mannequin was taken out of the wedding boutique and displayed in Mexico City. So I think La Pascualita is not actually there anymore. But she was there. Even with embalming, there still would have been deterioration over the past like 90 something years, because although it is possible for bodies to be embalmed and last hundreds of years, they need constant care.
Oh, yeah.
And they need to be like behind, like in
a lot of
glass
specific environmental conditions.
exactly. Whereas being in a store window, like a hot store window,
Yeah.
is
That's not it.
not it.
Yeah. Because a lot of the preservation ones that I've heard of is like it's very, very cold and very low light and all of these very specific things. Like,
Exactly.
if you've ever heard of Ötzi the Iceman, like the reason a lot of his skin is so well preserved is specifically because he was literally in a block of ice for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's also people who say, oh, well, she was embalmed with things that are like illegal nowadays. And, that's why it's preserved so well. Or there are people who are like they're basically people who, there are morticians who are like, this is impossible. And then there are people who are like, but they don't know what they're talking about. And
Oh, yes, the people who had to go through a whole lot of schooling and can understand the scientific techniques about what they're doing. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Either way, the likelihood is that it's not actually the corpse of their daughter.
Yeah.
And that it is more of a marketing tactic. However, you can't deny that it's creepy.
Yeah.
And it certainly looks real.
Yeah. Is the shop still in the same family?
I don't think so. I didn't see any indication that it was still in the same family.
Okay. I was just curious.
But yeah, no, that's a question. It could have, like, even if it's not an embalmed corpse, maybe it was made in the likeness of this girl.
Yeah.
And maybe it is haunted.
Maybe.
We don't know.
We don't know indeed.
But there's a lot of there's a very popular legend, La Pauscalita.
Yeah. I've heard of that one, yeah. Yeah, it does creep me out quite a bit, though. Yeah.
And then the third one is less of an urban legend and more of a legend.
Okay.
The third,
not La Llorona.
No.
Because that was your first one.
That was my first one.
Yeah.
And of course, when I type in Mexican folklore, that's like the first thing that comes up.
Yeah.
But the third one is El Charro Negro. This is a ghost or a spirit or something more demonic.
The black something?
The Black Horseman.
Okay.
So there's this article that I read that honestly, I kind of want to just read it as it is. There's a translation. It was originally in Spanish.
Okay.
But there's a translation posted. I think it says everything that needs to be said.
Okay.
So I am going to go ahead and just read this. This is an article from Dos Mundos, which is Two Worlds, a Hispanic online news, not news, like period. It's a I don't know
periodical?
How to say it. Periodical, yeah.
Like a newsletter, news site type thing?
Yeah. It says, periódico bilingüe para la comunidad hispana de Kansas City. This is the 1981. So it's the bilingual periodical for the community, for the Hispanic community of Kansas City since 1981.
All right.
So this is Hispanic Hauntings, The Legend of El Charro Negro, published on October 20th, 2023 by Tere Siquieria.
All right.
As October's shadows, this is the article, so it's not October right now, it's June, but
also happy Pride.
Happy Pride. From the vast sweeping plains of rural Mexico, during an era tinted with mysticism, folks told of a traditional Mexican horseman or charro. In the golden hours of sunset, when the world seemed to stand still and even birds hushed their songs, a mysterious figure could be seen riding the horizon. Dressed as a charro, this figure was draped in black, with a wide-brimmed sombrero casting a shadow over his face, making his features nearly indistinguishable. His mount, a magnificent stallion, was as dark as the night itself. They called him El Charro Negro.
Ooh.
Villagers spoke in whispers of how El Charro Negro was not of this world, but a specter, a lost soul speaking redemption or perhaps revenge.
So like jack-o'-lantern.
Some suggested he was a once proud horseman who had wronged many in his lifetime and was cursed to roam the earth. According to one legend, those who encountered him at dusk, especially at crossroads.
Ooh.
I know,
Love a
this has so
crossroads.
many similarities.
Yeah.
Were presented with a choice or a test. A shimmering gold coin would appear in El Charro's hand, tempting the passerby. If the passerby were to take it, that person's soul would become his, and that person would be destined to wander the plains with him for eternity. However, those who resisted his temptation or showed true heart were often granted good fortune or even insight into the future. But one thing remained consistent in all the tales, a warning. Those who heard the hooves of a distant horse as twilight approached were advised to steer clear, lest they meet El Charro Negro and face the test of their souls. So, if you ever find yourself amid the vast landscapes of Mexico during the bewitching hours and hear the soft galloping of a horse, remember the legend of El Charro Negro. Look away, continue on your path, and hope that the haunting horseman is merely passing by. There's also sources that say that it's the devil himself.
Okay.
That's why he's able to take your soul.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so those are the 3 legends, but obviously there's way more in Mexico. Like just in Mexico, there's way more. So if you guys ever want to hear another, there's definitely some that I left out that I can make a part 2 to this.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you have any questions?
I just don't. I kind of want to see the wedding girl in person. Just curious. Just to see. And I don't know. What was your favorite?
I put them specifically in the order that I did because the first one is more like historic and a lot of facts and a lot of like, maybe this happened, maybe it's just like a weird fluke. The second one is kind of mysterious, a little paranormal. There's been sightings and things, but like a lot of it can be also taken as just urban
marketing,
legend. Exactly. And then the third one is not urban legend. It's not scientific. It's not historic. It is just the legend.
Yeah.
And so I kind of put it in like a tier almost.
Yeah, I love that.
And so that being said, my favorite as far as like, oh, that's fun, is probably the first with the transporting soldier. I just think that's such a cool, fun concept.
We could do an entire episode on like exactly that kind of a thing. Yeah. Or like the time slip, or not the time slip. Yes, time slip, but also transporting
across the world. I also though love the mystery of El Charro Negro, and that's kind of what I grew up hearing is like all the ghost stories.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you've had a specific encounter with El Charro Negro and live to tell the tale, send us an email about it, drearymidnightpodcast@gmail.com. If you would like to follow the show on socials, we are on Instagram at drearymidnightpod. And if you want to support us with money, patreon.com/drearymidnight. I finally just posted our Christmas Carol bloopers. And we're about to record another Tourism Tales.
Yeah, we are.
And if you want to hear about Cursed Child without watching Cursed Child, listen to that. And with all that said, be careful of people on black horses. And don't go to crossroads at midnight. And safe travels home on this dreary midnight. Good night.
Good night.